Hello and welcome. Good evening. You're joining us live here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nandagopal and I'm here in beautiful Kanyakumari. Behind me is the Vivekananda Rock Memorial where everyone's focus is right now. Prime Minister Modi is inside on a 45-hour meditation which comes to an end tomorrow afternoon. I'll be getting you all of the updates that are coming in on this big story along with the big political reactions as there's an endless political showdown with the opposition questioning the timing of Prime Minister Modi's spiritual sojourn. Now, for 48 hours, for 2 days, the Prime Minister has been spending on that small piece of land, the Vivekananda Rock Memorial. Right next to it is, of course, the towering, beautiful Tiruvalluvar statue as well, which you have seen in some of the pictures that the Prime Minister has posted. But let's get you a detailed report now of all the pictures that we have of the Prime Minister's meditation and the brief moment that he stepped out early this morning from the meditation hall to also perform the Surya Namaskar. Here's a detailed report.
On the serene seashore in Kanyakumari, the southernmost point of India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spent the silent period of the last phase of elections meditating. He offered prayers at the Vivekananda Rock Memorial, surrounded by the confluence of the three seas, the Bay of Bengal, the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean. Photographs captured him in deep thought. Adopting the Dhyan Mudra. Engaging in the sacred ritual like Surya Namaskar and offering water to the sun god or Arghya to Surya Dev. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is known for his spiritual sojourns at the close of election campaigns. He visited the Kedarnath Dham in 2019 and meditated in a cave near the shrine. This time the Prime Minister is meditating for his Vikasit Bharat or vision for developed India. Throughout this period, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is maintaining a disciplined regimen, observing silence, adhering to a special diet consisting of coconut water, grape juice and other liquids. A 33-year-old image from the same location showing Narendra Modi paying tribute to Swami Vivekananda is also going viral online. Prime Minister Narendra Modi began meditating on Thursday evening and will continue till Saturday afternoon. With Akshita Nandagopal and Pramod Madhav at Kanyakumari, Bureau Report, India Today.
So it was around this time yesterday that the Prime Minister actually began this journey, landing here in Kanyakumari and then making his way to the Vivekananda Rock Memorial. Let me now introduce on this broadcast Mr. S. Gurumurthy, editor of the very popular Tamil magazine Tughlaq, who's joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Gurumurthy, vanakkam, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. Just, sir, to start off and set the tone of this conversation, what do you think, sir, is the biggest messaging or significance or symbolism really behind the Prime Minister choosing to do his dhyanam this time at the Vivekananda Rock Memorial in Kanyakumari?
See, I see three significant points in Modi choosing the Vivekananda Rock and Vivekananda as a symbol to reconnect contemporary India to the pre-independence India. If you look at what Mahatma Gandhi said, or Rajaji said, or Nehru said about Swami Vivekananda, all of them were unanimous that Swami Vivekananda was the father and the mother of the freedom movement of India. So Swami Vivekananda was not a religious symbol, he was a nationalist symbol. In as much as Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru said in his glimpses of world history that Swami Vivekananda's concept of Hindu nationalism was not against anybody. So this, you must understand, was the pre-independence perception of Swami Vivekananda. So obviously, what Modi is trying to do is to reconnect it to the contemporary India. In the contemporary India, when this rock memorial was built, it was built by the RSS. Absolutely no doubt about it, because the RSS General Secretary was seconded to do the job. It was blessed by the Ramakrishna Mission, and it was regarded as a national project for which the central government, headed by Mrs. Indira Gandhi, donated 15 lakh rupees in those days, and every state government donated amounts ranging from 50,000 to 100,000 those days. So it was never regarded as a partisan memorial. The third point is that this memorial was declared open by the constitutional head of India, the President of India, V.V. Giri. And Mrs. Indira Gandhi went to the memorial, and I want to quote her so that everyone understands that this memorial does not have religious significance. It has a nationalist significance, and it represents the idea of India. This is what Mrs. Gandhi wrote in the visitor's book. It is a moving experience to come to Kanyakumari and see how the faith of thousands in Vivekananda's message has made this memorial possible. May it inspire all who visit and give them the courage to review Swami's great and timeless teaching. I can truly say the words of Vivekananda inspired my whole family in our political work as well as in our daily life. Today I would like to ask the same question which Swami Vivekananda asked. Why is India alive? What is that she is fighting for? We are fighting for something which we must nourish and cherish. Without work and sacrifice in our life, we cannot do that. This is how she has been perceiving Swami Vivekananda. Whether it is Gandhi or Nehru or Patel or Rajaji, right up to Indira Gandhi, it is not only Swami Vivekananda, but the very memorial itself represents a different idea. That is why Narendra Modi chose this spot to expound the idea of Vikasit Bharat, because it is on this rock on 24th to 27th of December 1992. Swami Vivekananda sat and meditated and said he hit upon a plan and then went to Chicago. This significance itself is not known to the political class today.
So then, Mr. Gurumurthy, I'm glad you made this point about Swami Vivekananda unifying Bharat, that he doesn't belong to one particular religion or, for that matter, to any one political party. Today, when the opposition cries foul over the Prime Minister's visit to the Vivekananda Rock Memorial, they're raising it, questioning, one, the timing of his visit, saying that, look, with elections coming tomorrow, with Varanasi polling, with the Prime Minister being a candidate in this election, it's a breach of the Code of Conduct. Second, they're calling all of this nothing but drama. Has nothing to do with faith, has nothing to do with spiritualism, sir.
I don't expect the opposition to say anything different, because Narendra Modi is not doing this in this election only. Even in 2019, as the campaign closed, he did this in Kedarnath. And at that time, there was no great objection except the fact that he wore the Bhagwa dress. But today, why in a more nationalist surroundings, in a more nationalist ecosystem, when the Prime Minister is sitting in meditation, there should be so much objection, except that the Prime Minister's attempt to connect India to the pre-independence days, when the Congress was expounding these thoughts, which space the Congress has now lost to the BJP. Today, what the Prime Minister is doing is to convert the BJP to the pre-independence Congress, because the pre-independence Congress has become something different. So that is what the Congress is unable to accept. It is not able to own the pre-independence philosophy of its own, and it is unable to cede it to the BJP. And the Prime Minister is successfully appropriating the pre-independence character of the Congress.
But sir, there will be questions whether it's correct for these kind of pictures to be put out, whether it's a violation of the code of conduct with Varanasi polling tomorrow, about the timing of the visit of the Prime Minister. You know, the opposition is saying, let him do it. He has all the right to go ahead with this Dhyanam, but why in front of public? Why with these pictures? What's your response, sir, to that?
See, basically the pictures are taken because the Prime Minister is doing it. It is not because he is doing it as a candidate. I mean, if the Prime Minister is doing something and if the press puts it out, and even if the Prime Minister puts it out, there can be no objection that he is campaigning. And anybody can do it today because the medium is electronic medium. In those days, when we were all groomed in politics, what we speak today will appear in the newspaper tomorrow. But today it appears instantly. It is not only television. There is social media. And there must be a law to contain this. Let us assume the Election Commission passes an order that no TV show should be there in this period, that there should be complete suspension. Everybody will abide by it. How is it that the Prime Minister is sitting, which is a very important and significant message he is giving to the nation, in a period when everything is silent? That can be regarded as, under the present circumstances, the technology that is in offing, as some violation of the code of conduct.
Now, I agree with your points that in the age of social media, can a silence period actually work? Because there are so many netas who put out their reaction right before, the silence period comes to an end, but it's still doing the rounds very much on social media. So does a silence period actually work in these circumstances? Let's bring it back, Mr. Gurumurthy, to the significance of the Prime Minister's visit here to Kanyakumari. He is just 300 meters away from here, the Vivekananda Rock Memorial, and right next to it is the Thiruvalluvar statue. The Prime Minister spoken before also of his admiration for the great Tamil poet. Do you think that also weighed on his mind when he took the decision of coming here?
See, I understand the Prime Minister's published program tomorrow includes his going and paying his respect to Thiruvalluvar, because when the Vivekananda Rock Memorial was constructed, it was approved by the Congress government, but it was opened when the DMK government was in power. And Karunanidhi, who was then the Chief Minister, participated in the inauguration of the Vivekananda Rock Memorial, and he declared that there would be a statue of Thiruvalluvar in the rock nearby, for which the Vivekananda Rock Memorial provided all the support. Vivekananda Rock Memorial did not distinguish between Vivekananda and Thiruvalluvar. So the Thiruvalluvar statue holds significant message for not only Tamil Nadu but for the whole country and the world. And Modi has spoken about it in different forums. So obviously he is going there tomorrow to pay his respect to Thiruvalluvar also, I understand.
My final question to you, Mr. Gurumurthy, is about a lot of buzz and comparisons between Swami Vivekananda's meditation here for 3 days and 3 nights and Prime Minister Modi's meditation here for 45 hours. They're saying that it's the story of two Narendras and the story of course, how Swami Vivekananda became as great as he was. You can't, erase this moment from his life. Do you see this also being a similar turning point in Prime Minister Modi's life? Do you think that that's a fair comparison also to have, calling this the story of two Narendras?
No, I don't think so. Swami Vivekananda is inspiring Narendra Modi. There is no comparison between the two. Swami Vivekananda was the man who gave the idea of contemporary India, inspired the freedom movement, and Narendra Modi is one of the persons who is inspired by Swami Vivekananda. And I would not compare him with Swami Vivekananda. They are poles apart. He is working in a different field, political field. Swami Vivekananda worked in the nationalist and spiritual field. There is an alignment, but there is no comparison in my view.
Okay, no comparison in your view, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Gurumurthy, for taking the time out and joining us here on India Today. Thoroughly enjoyed that conversation with you, and you've given us some great insights about the importance, the significance of the Vivekananda Rock Memorial and what it means for each one of us as Indians to look up to Swami Vivekananda's ideals. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's take this across now and let's move this conversation forward with our reporters also who are joining us on this broadcast. For the last 24 hours here on India Today, we've been getting you every single update from this beautiful seaside town from Kanyakumari. I want to bring in on this broadcast Shweta Singh and also Prabodh Madhav, both of whom are joining us live from different vantage points of Kanyakumari. So we're ensuring that we get you a 360-degree view of this beautiful town, and all our cameras, of course, focused on the big highlight here of the Tiruvalluvar statue and also the Vivekananda Rock Memorial. I'll begin with Shweta. Shweta, I'm sure you, as much as I have enjoyed the sights and sounds of Kanyakumari, and because of the Prime Minister's visit, we're seeing a huge inflow of tourists as well. But there is a lot of focus on the politics, Shweta, about whether, the Prime Minister's visit has been timed to ensure that it's just before the last phase when his constituency votes, about whether, this kind of photo op, the kind of pictures of him doing the Surya Namaskar, meditating, all of it is a violation of the MCC.
That's right, Akshita, and this discussion has been on all across the country. While they've been discussing, the Prime Minister meditating here, the visuals coming out from here, the pictures coming out from here have not just been targeting his own constituency, but various other states, various other parts. Swami Vivekananda directly connects with Bengal. All the seats that are going to the polls this time, none of which were won by the Bharatiya Janata Party, all were taken by the Trinamool Congress. So is it a pitch to the Bengal voters? Is it a pitch to the Bihar voters when he offers prayers to the sun god and wears a stole which has Madhubani art over it? Since the Tamil Nadu elections and all elections in the southern states are long over in the first two phases, definitely the connect is not for the present but for the future, with Home Minister Amit Shah also coming to Tirupati Balaji to offer his prayers. So there is a lot of posturing, there are a lot of what do you call it? A lot of messages for the voters all across the country, and definitely the opposition will bring up this fact. But as we've been speaking, that when an election happens across different phases, there is a chance of a leader campaigning in a phase where he might influence another constituency where the voters will be going out to vote. So there is a lot of dark area, and I think that needs to be addressed. This is not just a one-off incident.
And through this election season, we've seen that, this crisscrossing of influence. One phase is polling and the other is campaigning. So you're right there in pointing out that we've seen this through the entire election as well. I want to bring in Prabodh Madhav also on this broadcast. Prabodh, what's the schedule looking like for the Prime Minister in the hours ahead? Tomorrow afternoon, we're hearing he's going to be wrapping up his meditation. He's also going to be paying tribute to the great Tamil poet Tiruvalluvar.
Absolutely, Akshita. In fact, we are still at this particular location where behind us you could see both great monuments on one side. The left side is the Rock Mandapam and on the right side is the Tiruvalluvar statue. Well, the Tiruvalluvar statue is under repairs currently, so the public is not allowed to access has been not provided to the public. In fact, this entire area is still surrounded by Navy ship and ICG ships as well. And what has we've been told is that either the Prime Minister, after 45 hours of his penance, he would go ahead and actually take a separate boat, and arrangements have also been done. In fact, fact, we could see those boats already been there, ferries that by which he can go from the Rock Mandapam to the Tiruvallur statue. And an amazing aspect about Tiruvallur statue is that there is an actual passage by which a person can go and actually sit on the Tiruvallur's hand as well. So there are possibilities that the Prime Minister can go up to that level and visit and be there. But the important aspect is that he's definitely going to go to see the Tiruvallur statue, because wherever he goes, he's been quoting Tirukkural and various other aspects of Tiruvallur, Akshita.
Behind me, the Prime Minister is on his meditation, and as he is on that 45-hour-long meditation, completed almost 24 hours right now, there's endless politics that's playing out. Opposition leaders have questioned, one, the timing of the Prime Minister's visit, saying why couldn't it wait post June 1st? Why couldn't it wait after Varanasi, his constituency, finished voting? Secondly, they've said that showing the pictures of the Prime Minister is a violation of the Election Commission's guidelines. Remember, the silence period is currently underway in the constituencies that are voting in the last phase, including that of Varanasi. There are some opposition leaders who've taken to social media and called all of this nothing but drama. Details in our next report.
In deep meditation, Prime Minister Modi's 45-hour spiritual retreat. Dressed in saffron robes at the site where Swami Vivekananda envisioned a united and great India. Ironically, amid the intense political climate, just before the final phase of elections, cameras filming the Prime Minister at the Vivekananda Rock Memorial in Kanyakumari have come under scrutiny.
हम हाथ जोड़ के कहते हैं कि प्रधानमंत्री जी, ध्यान की तो आपको आवश्यकता है, बेहद आवश्यकता है, क्योंकि जो व्यक्ति भैंस मंगलसूत्र से मुजरा तक बोल चुका, उसको ध्यान की आवश्यकता है। मैं तो अब लेकिन ये मानता हूं, बीते 10-12 वर्षों में उनको देखते हुए, कि कुछ बहुत ही जरूरी कार्य को छोड़ करके प्रधानमंत्री जी मूलतः कैमरा मुखी हैं और कैमरा के अधीन हैं। ये कौन सा ध्यान है?
The opposition views the Prime Minister's spiritual retreat before the last round of elections as a tactic to stay in the limelight and send out ideological messages during the no campaign period.
वो ध्यान में 45 घंटे ध्यान में घर में कर सकते थे, वो वहां जाने की क्या जरूरत थी? ये नाटक क्यों? आप अपने घर में पूजा करो, अपने घर में श्रद्धा के साथ बैठो.
In a coordinated attack, a combative opposition is questioning the timing of the Prime Minister's televised meditation.
ये मेडिटेशन की जरूरत तो पहले थी, 5 साल पहले या 7 साल पहले, जब आपको देश के लिए काम करना था. अरे 10 साल के बाद तो आपको फुर्सत ही फुर्सत है. आप जितना चाहोगे उतनी मेडिटेशन कर लोगे. और दूसरा, वहां तो भारत की सीमा खत्म हो जाती है, उसके बाद तो आगे पानी पानी है, पता नहीं कहां चले जाएंगे उसके आगे.
और बेटा আপনি কি ধ্যান করুন, ধ্যান করলে কেউ ক্যামেরাকে নিয়ে ধ্যান করে? প্রতিবার দেখবেন ইলেকশনে, যেদিন লাস্ট ইলেকশন তার 48 ঘন্টা আগে কোথাও না কোথাও ঢুকে বসে থাকে আর লোককে দেখায় ধ্যান করছি, এয়ার কন্ডিশন হোটেল বানিয়ে নেয়.
The ruling BJP has strongly defended the Prime Minister's spiritual sojourn, accusing the opposition of opposing for opposition's sake.
कांग्रेस को तो हर धार्मिक विषय पर आपत्ति, ये तो आश्चर्य की बात है कि कांग्रेस को अपने ऊपर आपत्ति क्यों?
Spirituality and politics continue to intersect as the general elections approach their conclusion. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let's bring in now on this broadcast Gaurav Samant, who's joining us live from our newsroom. We also have Samat Srivastava joining us live from Varanasi, which is the Prime Minister's constituency, voting tomorrow, which is what's led to this entire political showdown. Gaurav, to you first, what do you make really of all the politics that's playing out? There are several people, experts, who say that, look, there are right questions being asked here about the silence period being put in place and these pictures perhaps being violative of that. But the opposition also taking this a step further and calling it nothing but drama by Prime Minister Modi.
Be 2014 elections, after which Prime Minister Narendra Modi went to the Pratapgarh fort, a very significant fort of the Marathas, especially Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, after he defeated the Adil Shahi General Afzal Khan. So the significance and the symbolism is immense. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, to establish his supremacy and to establish the Hindvi Swaraj, it was very difficult and very important, not just to defeat the Adil Shahis before taking on the Mughals, but also emphasizing that a point has been made that he had defeated Afzal Khan. Remember that incident, that story that we've heard, that Shivaji was wearing his bagnak and he pulled out the intestines of that Adil Shahi General Afzal Khan. So the Prime Minister went there after 2014 elections, symbolism very big. After 2019 elections, he went to Kedarnath and meditated there. Again, big symbolism, especially when Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a bhakt of Bhagwan Mahadev. Coming here, Swami Vivekanand, his philosophy, his teachings, his life, it's had a very major impact on Prime Minister Narendra Modi from his childhood, and he's repeatedly spoken about it, especially about India reviving spiritual nationalism, getting the youth to contribute to the country.
Yeah.
And the Prime Minister said, I mean, in his opinion, he is very clear that he's coming back to be the Prime Minister once again. So he says in his third term, his entire focus for the first 125 days will remain youth and youth-centric programs. And this is where, he's laying the foundation for that. So while the opposition criticizes what's happening today, the Prime Minister is already thinking about what will happen 125 days later, of course, depending on whether he wins on the 4th of June.
He's maintaining he'll win. He said this repeatedly also, even in an interview to us here on India Today, that he's confident of winning and he's already set his eyes on what needs to be really the big takeaways from his third term as Prime Minister. But let's put the focus, and Gaurav, thank you for joining us with those details. Let's put the focus on what's happening in Varanasi. The reason everyone's questioning the timing of the Prime Minister's visit to the beautiful Vivekananda Rock Memorial is because Varanasi, which is where the Prime Minister is contesting from, is polling tomorrow in the last phase of elections. So considering that Narendra Modi is also a candidate in this particular election, is it a violation of the Election Commission's norms? That really is the question everyone's asking, saying, couldn't the Prime Minister have timed his visit to after voting, to June 2nd or June 3rd, or post the results, or any time he wanted? That's the question that several people, particularly the opposition, has been asking here. Samarth, what's happening really in Varanasi? All preps, I'm sure, done. Tomorrow is polling in that high-profile seat.
Well, Akshita, Varanasi has become the epicenter of the final phase, with Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi being the candidate from the Saffron Party, while Ajay Rai, the UP Congress chief from India Alliance, the candidate. The bigger fight is between them, though there's much popularity of Prime Minister Modi when it comes to Kashi, Varanasi, or what we say Banaras. But it's also a fight because people are saying that Ajay Rai is also giving a fight to PM Modi right here, while the BJP is claiming that the fight is just about the difference of votes, like breaking the own record. That's what the BJP local leadership of Varanasi is saying. But it's not just about Varanasi. If you talk about the 13 seats of Purvanchal, Eastern Uttar Pradesh, which comes in the final phase, it also includes Gorakhpur, it also includes Ghazipur, Ghosi, and various serious districts, we must ask. Gorakhpur, it has Ravi Kishan, the Bhojpuri actor, and the sitting MP for the BJP against Kajal Nisha, the Samajwadi Party. From Ghazipur, it's Mukhtar Ansari's family, the Afzal Ansari, the brother of Mukhtar Ansari, taking on Paras Nath Rai. While in Ghosi, it's Rajiv Rai versus the son of Om Prakash Tajbar, Arvind Raja. So tight fight is all around. We cannot say it's a go ahead for the Saffron Party or the NDA in the final phase, because this is that phase which in a way turned in favor of the opposition a bit in the UP Vidhan Sabha elections. We saw, apart from Varanasi, opposition parties like Samajwadi Party, and obviously that time Rajbhar was with SP, they also scored well in the Purvanchal area, but this time around Rajbhar is with the BJP, so it's going to be worth seeing whether Samajwadi Party or Congress will make some impact in the Purvanchal, or BJP will hit back this time again with Prime Minister's face in the middle from Varanasi. Back to you.
Let's see what really happens in Uttar Pradesh. This is going to be a very, very crucial phase, clearly, for every party concerned. It's the very, very last leg. This is the last phase of polling that we'll be getting you, of course, all the updates on here on India Today, and also, of course, on the Prime Minister. Tomorrow at 1:30 is expected to end his meditation. We'll visit the Tiruvalluvar statue right next to the Rock Memorial, pay tribute to the great Tamil poet, and then come back to the Kanyakumari town and head back to the national capital, where it's back to the election business, to the political business for the Prime Minister. There were pictures that came in early this morning of Prime Minister Modi deep in meditation, pictures of him performing the Surya Namaskar. Let's run you through some of those images. Prime Minister Modi early this morning, as the sun was rising, performed rituals at the Vivekananda Rock Memorial. This location holds huge historical significance, as we told you, being the same site where Swami Vivekananda meditated 131 years ago. Early in the morning, Prime Minister Modi was seen performing sacred Surya Namaskar rituals with the beautiful, beautiful scenery of the three oceans converging close to where he is at the Vivekananda Rock Memorial. Now, on his spiritual retreat, Prime Minister Modi was also seen carrying out the Surya Arghya. A short video clip showed the Prime Minister offering water into the sea as an offering to the Surya Devata. He was facing the rising sun and offering prayers to the rising sun here in Kanyakumari. There were also images of the Prime Minister seated in the meditation room, performing, in fact, his meditation in deep contemplation, using also prayer beads and chanting Om. Remember that the Prime Minister has said that this time his meditation is for his Viksit Bharat mission. A further glimpse into the Prime Minister's meditation. He was seen also in the Dhyana Mudra pose. Throughout this period, the Prime Minister is maintaining a very disciplined regimen, observing silence, adhering to a liquid diet, much like the 11-day Anushtan that the Prime Minister embarked on before the Ram Mandir Pran Pratishtha. So Prime Minister Modi is currently behind me at the Vivekananda Rock Memorial. What about other netas? Some of them in the poll fray, some aren't, but these are the big faces of all political parties and what they've been up to in the last 24 hours. Many of them visiting places of worship. Home Minister Amit Shah offered prayers early this morning at Tirumala, Tirupati. He was accompanied by his wife. Shah spent half an hour participating in various rituals. Yesterday, he was in Tamil Nadu at a very famous temple, the Bhairava Temple in Pudukkottai. BJP Chief JP Nadda offered prayers at the Naina Devi Temple in Himachal Pradesh's Bilaspur. Along with his family, Nadda participated in a special yagna at this particular temple. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Congress General Secretary, also offered prayers to Lord Hanuman at Shimla's Jakko Temple. Priyanka had also offered prayers at the Jakko Temple back on May 13th, 2023, the day that Congress won the Karnataka Assembly elections. Union Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia also sought the blessings of Mahakaleshwar in Ujjain. Wearing a traditional outfit, Scindia also took part in the grand Aarti at the Mahakaleshwar temple. Maharashtra Deputy CM Devendra Fadnavis is in Ramnagari, Ayodhya after praying at the Ram Janmabhoomi. Fadnavis also prayed at the Hanumangadi temple in Ayodhya. Welcome back. Let's get you breaking news that's coming in right now. Even as Prajwal Revana has returned to the country and is now in 6-day SIT custody, his mother now, Bhavani Revanna, is reportedly absconding, is right now missing at this point. Sources telling us here on India Today that the SIT has launched a search operation. A notice has already been issued. Remember that Bhavani Revanna is also one of the accused in one of the kidnapping cases that have been filed. So HD Revanna, who has previously been arrested, his wife right now, Bhavani Revanna, remains absconding. The SIT is currently launching a manhunt for her. Sagai Raj is joining us with more details. Sagai, one family member after another in the dock. Now, Bhavani Revanna, who's under this scanner in a kidnapping case, missing, absconding.
Absolutely, and if you notice that this particular verdict comes after a call was sent for a 6-day judicial police custody by the Special Court. Again, this was at public representative court where the argument was heard by the judge, and today the order for witness, and after hearing the argument, we had
Okay. Sagai, we're having a bit of a problem with your audio. We'll reconnect with you for those details. But big breaking news that's coming in. We've been tracking very, very closely here on India Today all the updates in the Prajwal Revanna case, and now details of his mother also absconding, and she's wanted in a kidnapping case. All right, let's shift focus to another big headline that came in, and a surprise one at that, from the Reserve Bank of India. The central bank reportedly has shifted 100 tons of gold from London back to the country to add to its stock, which is a huge, huge headline here. Now, this is the first time since 1991 that, gold has been added to the stock kept in the country. Let's get you all the details in our next report on this big, big story.
1991, the lowest period ever for the Indian economy. It was on the verge of collapse. Forex reserves were at an all-time low of $600 million, barely enough for 3 weeks of essential imports. The central government failed to pass the annual budget in face of IMF pressure. It was then that the P.V. Narasimha Rao government pawned off India's gold reserves. 67 tons of gold was pledged by the government to raise $600 million. 47 tons of gold was airlifted to Bank of England, with another 20 tons sent to Switzerland as collateral for foreign aid. 33 years later, an Atmanirbhar Bharat is flexing its economic might. As the 5th largest economy in the world, as the fastest growing major economy in the world. In an emotive move, the Reserve Bank of India has brought back 100 tons of gold from the massive vaults of the Bank of England in London. This is the first time since 1991 that gold reserves have seen a Ghar Wapsi to India. These bricks, valued at over 73,000 crore rupees, will now find their home in domestic vaults. According to RBI, more gold reserves will be brought back to India in the coming months and years. As of 31st March this year, RBI has gold reserves of more than 822 tons. Of this, less than half is stored in India. Nearly 414 tons is in the vaults of Bank of England and the New York-based Bank of International Settlements. Central banks across the world have been building their gold reserves in view of the global geopolitical uncertainty. RBI's gold reserves have risen by 28 tons in the past year, triggering a big rise in the retail price of gold as well. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
So according to our sources, this is the first of many more such transfers, which is great news for us as a country. Thank you very much for tuning in to India Today. I'll continue getting you all the updates from here in Kanyakumari. We just witnessed the sun coming down. Kanyakumari known for its sunsets, but because it's a cloudy day, we've unfortunately missed those images. But we're going to continue getting you all the latest from here in Kanyakumari. For the moment, thanks very much for tuning in.